have any tips for building strength and endurance in practice periods, particularly, you know, designed for stage use?
Yeah, whenever you have a move that you're doing, you have to pull it apart piece by piece. Find the weak spot and just isolate that. Like for me, for example, sometimes this finger lags behind the other ones. So I'll sit there and just do that finger
By itself?
for a while by itself, and then in context with that one. And then all three, and then reverse, and then reverse that way, and just do those two together, and then by itself, all different strings and every different combination, so you get that finger up to its normal strength again. So when you're having trouble, sometimes you it's really hard to pull a lick apart because it goes by real fast, and you're not sure really what's wrong with it. So do it real slow, take it, you know, like...
How slow would you do it, for example, if you had to demonstrate that?
Like, oh, you're doing it like this, like...
Do it slower and harder as well, push harder?
Yeah, so you can kind of see which, because as you hear in there's certain skip notes, and you really analyze it close, it's not quite right. When you're playing live a lot of stuff is blowing by and you don't really notice it. And you can have a lot of inconsistencies in your playing that you're not aware of. So a lot of times just to stop, slow down, go sit in a dressing room, in a quiet room, and work it out and find the weak spot and pound on it. I guess it's basically, in order to prevent hurting yourself, and if you know a little bit about, I don't really know anything about bodybuilding, any kind of exercising thing like that, but if you talk to somebody who knows, and they'll tell you, like, you know, you need to do a little warm-up period, and then work on it, and then back off, and work on it again so you don't overstrain it and everything, you know. So it's important.
Or whatever.
Yeah, so just keep, it's common sense, basically.
Exactly. Okay, well, let's move on to your thoughts on applying licks and parts of techniques to song. What can you tell us about, you know, the theory behind keeping it in check so that the song comes first and the
So you don't overplay.
Yeah, basically.
Boy, you got the wrong guy for that, huh?
But it works. No, I mean, you keep yourself in check within the song context.
Yeah, if you listen to Paul McCartney's playing, he's playing all over the place. Tim Bogart, Jeff Berlin, Geddy Lee plays pretty busily. But it's a matter of, again, what we talked about when I was talking about patterns and stuff. Once you know the neck really well, you can move all around. If it makes musical sense, it will work. And if you know your stuff, because I've seen a lot of bass players also just like flying all over the place, and they don't, where's one? But 90% of my playing is...
It's in the pocket. You're aware of the pocket.
You know, it's just right on, trying to keep the song happening. You get your spots to do it.
Right.
But try to, you know, to stick with what you're supposed to be doing to make the song sound like the song. So I would suggest for a young player to just, you know, play it with a band, make it work, and then add the frosting later.
Exactly. Now, what's your concept behind the secret notes that you're often reputed to play?
Ooh, secret note reputer.
Yeah.
Well, basically, that's just kind of a humorous term for moving the root note around underneath what the basic root of the song, the chord you're playing. Simplest example of it is when you're like doing the famous rock change, which is Stairway to Heaven, Million Judas Priest, you know, the millions of. Say the root note is E, go up to F sharp, and then to a G.
Aha. So it's like substitute bass notes or other notes other than the root.
Right. So instead of so it works because those notes are in that chord somewhere. But that's the simple version. We're doing now. We're doing live. Blame It on My Youth. I'm like a. For the chorus part. So when I go Blame It on My Youth, I go up to the.
Aha.
What is that? It's a B. I remember the first time I did it, Eric looked over and like, hey, what was that? Do that again,
Interesting,
you know?
sound.
Yeah, so it's just when the guitar moves one way, you just move the other way, and you kind of make it automatic. That's basically the idea is just a kind of a rock perversion of what Bach does with moving bass lines.
Exactly.
If you want to get an idea what that is, just get a well-tempered clavier, which is just pieces by Bach with just solo piano or harpsichord. I
pieces.
prefer it with,
Yeah.
because you can hear it much better. And you'll hear the bass line moving all over the place underneath the same melody line, and suddenly the melody line does not sound the same anymore because
Right.
the bass line is different. That's the idea behind it.
Redefined.
Yeah. So whenever we're, you know, a lot of songs we're doing.
It's in Merciless too, isn't it?
Yeah, in just before that part.
Paul goes to a D sharp
Paul goes-
chord. Yeah. Right.
Oops, to the E. Well, I did that one night too.
Yeah.
But and whenever you make a mistake, just play it again. It'll sound like you meant to do it. So
That's a good rule to keep in mind.
I've done that many times, and then left it in the song because it actually worked after a while. So
Do you ever practice that at home too?
making mistakes, oh, that's all I practice.
Getting out of them?
Oh, that's all I practice there. Right.
Well, now in our first video, we established a core of pretty strong fundamental ideas. Let's talk about how you apply some of those ideas.
Okay.
I'm specifically referring to the beginning of the Had Enough song,
Okay.
where you play an intro bass solo.
Yeah.
Contains a lot of your interesting techniques.
When I first started seeing guys doing sweep things on guitar,
Right.
Paul Gilbert and people like that, Yngwie and stuff, doing sweep stuff, it was really intriguing. But as a finger player, so it was a little difficult for me to get, you know. So I learned a couple. But for me, that was a little awkward. So I had to think of a way to do kind of a sweep sounding thing that I could play while I'm standing up, while I'm running across the stage, while the monitors are feeding back, and you know,
Yeah.
all the accompanying pitfalls that occur when you're playing live. So one of the things that came up was a way to. It's not a full, a wide bandwidth sweep, but it's a more compact version of it. But for me, it's way more effective. And what that is I take like an E minor kind of figure there. So what I'm doing there basically is three things. I don't know how I came up with this, but it just kind of popped in. Kind of a flamenco.
Oh, like a roll.
Backwards. So I've got that basic, that plucking thing there. So there's your E minor. And then you hammer down with that, hit with that, pull off, pluck, pluck. See what I'm doing there?
Similar to the Rasguiado technique.
Boy, if you say so. I with extra cheese maybe on that. But it's a bunch of techniques all together. Just hit the wrong note. So what I did is I went.
And you're outlining the E minor and C major
Yeah,
sounds.
because that's what the chords of the song.
Exactly. So you're thinking the chords of the song already.